Okay, folks, we're going to go with Plan C as in candy instead of Plan B. So, yeah, Tiffany's going to be a little while. Anyway, today is Thursday, April 26, 2018, for the Nevada Commission for the Reconstruction of the V&T Railway. If you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Looks like we got a full agenda today, and with that, we'll get started out with agenda item number 1. Candy, if you'd jump in for roll call for me.
Sure. Jack McGuffey.
Here.
Nick Morano.
Here.
Denny Dodson.
Here.
Joel Dunn.
Here.
Stan Jones. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Then we'll go on to agenda item number 2 for possible action, the approval of today's agenda. Elaine, do we have any changes on the agenda today?
The only thing that we did not have available was the retail lease. We discussed that this morning for Tom for the gift shop.
Mm-hmm.
But we have it now with us here at the meeting.
Okay, so we have that handout for the public, and then, but as far as the agenda items themselves, we're good?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have any discussion from the board? Any comment from the public on today's agenda? Then I'll go for a motion to approve.
Approved.
I have a
I'll
motion.
make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, move on to agenda item number 3. This is public comment. This is items that are not on today's agenda, please. So if you could come to the podium and state your name for the record.
Bruce Kittis, Carson City. Commissioners, I handed out a copy of 2 tables that have been used over the years, the ridership and the ticket sales. And those were very helpful. They need to be, I would ask you to see that while Candy's still here, that they are updated and kept current and available for distribution. Very helpful. You don't have to be an economist. It tells you a lot how we're doing and how you're doing, and it's a good time of the year to do it. Second thing is, very nice getting the agenda with the supporting documents. But given the number of pages, it would be very helpful if the supporting document was numbered to correspond with the current agenda item. I first learned that looking at the minutes in Virginia City, Story County. So if you would follow that same procedure, it would be very helpful finding things. And lastly, I didn't see any profit or loss or balance sheet in this package, and you're not meeting next month, so hopefully we'll see it in June. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other public comment today? Okay, hearing none, we'll move right along. Let's go on to agenda item number 4 for possible action, the approval of the meeting minutes from 29 March 2018. Open that up for board discussion. Any comments? Do you have any public comment on this item? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Denny,
Excuse me.
I copied you on an email that I sent about the minutes. There's some typos that I think should be corrected. The heading or agenda item for number 5 on the second page it should say commission for the provision, and it just says for he. At the bottom last line, the word day should follow 60. And on the 4th page, second to last line of the marketing services minutes, Argentum is misspelled. There should be an N. And then on, perhaps the most important, on the last page of the minutes, when Jack was referring to his meetings with the senators, Catherine Cortez is C-O-R-T-E-Z, not T-E-S.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I would make a motion that we make the corrections, postpone the approval, we'll approve it at the next meeting.
Or we can just approve it pending.
Yeah, I think we
correction,
can
yeah.
approve with the recommended
with-
changes
yeah.
for Mr. Rowe.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm good with
Okay.
that.
Okay, so we do have a motion then.
I'll second.
And
Second.
where's our motion
You
from?
made the motion.
You made a motion.
So I move to approve the minutes of
Yeah.
29 March
With the-
2018 with the recommended changes made by Mr. Rowe.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Okay, then we'll move on to agenda item number 5, possible action, consideration and possible approval of the contract with Argentum Partners for marketing, PR, communication services. Elaine?
So Mike and I, or Mike Draper, Michael Rowe, myself, and you, Denny, we have gone over the contract. We did have some modifications since we sent the board packet out, and those are, if anybody would like a copy, I have them here. But as far as the Board of Directors goes, you will see those on the Marketing and Public Relations Agreement highlighted in yellow. The first of those changes was were the terms. So it's a 2-year term with an option of renewal of 2 additional years. The next correction was on the second page, section 3.01, under fees, highlighted. The client agrees to pay agency a fee of $4,167 per month. And that was an adjustment, and that equates to $50,000 a year. Additionally, Exhibit A, under V&T Railway, scope of work on page 5, Public Relations Services, social media. We detailed the social media tools that would be utilized and their responsibility as far as populating the social media, plus communications including blogs, blog posts, and e-newsletters. Argentum has reviewed this and they approved that as well.
Okay, with that, I'll open up any board comments or questions.
So on the public relations services, the social media, so there's going to be some kind of advertising built up to throw out there on the social media? Is that what you're saying there?
That's correct, just as it has been
Okay,
before.
So then my next question that I'm leading up to is, so does this property, intellectual property, belong to the commission or to the contractor?
To the commission.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, thank you.
Any other board comment?
I do, just for matter of record, I want to make sure that I state that the original RFP that went out did have duration of service detailed as a 3-year in the initial, and it sounds like you guys have been able to work with the contractor, and it's identified that a 2-year contract fits the bill, and everyone's comfortable with that. I just want to make sure it's matter of record, so, okay.
Okay, hear anything, no other comment? I'll open it up to the public. Any comment?
Nicole Bard, Story County. This is a net. When I sign these types of agreements, when it's under 2.104, work product ownership, notwithstanding anything in this agreement to the contrary, agency shall be permitted to use as a sample of its work any materials produced by the agency but owned by the client. I always reviewed anything that the agency would be using in their, either as part of their pitches to other clients, et cetera. You may want to consider that. Because sometimes they would want to pitch certain things to certain clients that just didn't meet our standards relative to placement and association affiliation, so.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No? Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Argentum Partners for Marketing,
Get your screen out.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Marketing, PR, Communications and Services.
Sorry.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to number 6. It'll be for possible action, consideration and possible approval of a renewal contract with Thomas Gray with the Virginia and Truckee Railroad for train services. And Elaine, I'm going to let you start this one off, and I believe you had new fresh material that was handed out this morning or this afternoon as well.
Thank you. This was quite an exercise, but after a week long of back and forth with all the parties, I believe we have it. The train service agreement, thanks to Tom, it was definitely simplified as he agreed to continue as it had been in the past, the majority of the document. This year, I want you to please take notice that this is a 5-year contract, not a 4-year. We're going to stick with the 5-year. And as far as the contract itself, the original that went out in the board packet, the changes are again highlighted in yellow. Short of how we address Virginia and Truckee Railroad, which is now V&T RRR. That was a change that was made throughout the agreement. Number 3, on page 3, under Terms, Conditions of Agreement, that's been more generalized, being that we have not discussed or came to a conclusion of what types of marketing that we're going to share, what those costs will be, and with the amount of trains being less this year, we will probably, if we do that each month, it'll be a different rate versus a flat rate the last 5 years. I believe Tom was just adding a per train rate, and so it requires a little division, but first we need to come up with the full amount and value of the marketing that we intend to share. So in order to make this contract conducive, we decided to generalize it. And it is something that we're going to have to address every year. So it simply states that the commission costs of such advertising efforts, which include but not limited to print, media, and electronic advertising, and the construction of a unified web presence, VTRNR reserves the right to issue a limited number of passes. Sorry, I jumped. I was trying to get to a sentence that simplified it. But basically what we're saying is that the commission, the fact that we're advertising both train operations together, and that it will be addressed each year, and that we will be compensated on or before November 30th of each year. But as I indicated in the past, we've divided those up that cost up per train, and Tom compensated us at that point. Did I make that clear enough? Let me know.
I got it.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's been a confusing piece, Elaine, and I'm glad you had to take the lead on that, because it's something that I've always kind of scratched my head on in the past, and but yeah, no, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
I see it as just working with Tom, and everybody's being flexible on this. Thanks.
Okay, and the other change that we settled this morning was on page 6 of 12, number 14. It's under insurance, and that was just some verbiage that was added via Wayne at the pool. The insurance that we carry, Mike was good enough to get a hold of Wayne, and he added a little bit of verbiage identifying the insurance. So it's V&T R&R shall procure liability insurance for its operations. That was the addition. The amount, everything else in that sentence remained the same. And then finally, Tom and I had at least 3 conversations, and we went through the contract as we were able to locate more pages and discuss everything from schedule to rates. We did decide this morning that on page 11 of 12, Section 3, special trains, special event trains. Last paragraph of Section 3, there's a highlight that says, there is no surcharge for diesel train this season. I left that printed there, but I wanted just to show you that that sentence is being deleted. And there is most likely going to be a cost increase here, but Tom and I will get together sometime before June and bring it back to the board and let them know what the surcharge for diesel will be. It's costing, right now, it is costing Tom up to $500 a train for a diesel train, or for a diesel engine. So we do need to work on this paragraph, and we plan to bring that back to you all in June.
So Elaine, just one quick one. When you say $500 per train, that is the total fuel cost or the incremental kind of based on the calculation here?
Let me run that one past Tom.
Okay.
You'll have to come up, Tom, yeah, sorry. Sorry, but we got to get you on recording. Yeah.
For the record, Tom Gray, Virginia Truckee Railroad. Basically, we started the contract a long time ago. Fuel was a certain cost, and then it tripled, mostly for the steam engine. And we just estimate we use about 500 gallons a day. The diesel varied, but not quite as much as the steam locomotive fuel. So we were absorbing all that, and it wasn't a problem. But sometimes the fuel can go, and sometimes I can't get it, and then sometimes it goes nuts. So that's all that is, just a protection.
Okay, so price
And
goes
it's
up.
like $100 maybe a day, or $150 sometimes.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
So Tom, that would be the surcharge is the $150?
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear what the surcharge would be versus the total fuel cost.
Is that everything, Elaine?
Yes, Schedule B, we left that as is. It will take, we do think we're going to have to not scrub this, but maybe update it. It is a contract that went for, let's see, this is the intellectual property. It was a 10-year contract with 5-year renewal terms, and it's been since 2013 when Dwight Millard signed the contract. Tom didn't see many changes to it. We've discussed things such as how do we identify ourselves as a commission, what we put on advertising. Candy and Tom and I met, and he gave us a good idea of what's included in the agreement to use the name V&T. We'll pass that information on to Argentum. But we will take one more stab at it and look at it in more detail in June. This was one of the documents I only had a portion of, and Michael Rowe had the original. and was able to provide that. And we are to address ourselves as VNT Railway Commission when answering the phone or identifying ourselves.
Okay.
Question. Mike, have you reviewed this schedule?
I have extensively in the last week with Elaine and
Okay.
Tom and whatnot. Elaine is correct, the original Schedule B had a term of 10 years that would keep it in effect until 2023 with 2 5-year renewal terms automatically entered into unless either party provided the other notice that they weren't going to enter into it.
Yeah, Mike, is your recording on? I don't know if your recording was on.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just want to make sure we get on the minutes.
You want me to repeat what I said?
Probably need to maybe summarize that.
The original Schedule B was signed by Dwight and Tom in 2013 and had an original term for 10 years. And after that initial term, the agreement does automatically renew for 2 5-year renewal terms unless one party notifies the other that a party wishes to terminate the intellectual property agreement. The original of not only the last train service agreement, but all the schedules I've retained because, as I've indicated, the prior administration had no records retention ability or policy or anything, so a lot of the original documentation for the project is in my files. But at any rate, I talked to Tom before the meeting and offered to take this original agreement, which will remain in effect, and attach it as Schedule B to the new agreement, but I think he is comfortable with just using an accurate copy of it, which we have gotten circulated, as opposed to detaching it from the 13 to 17 agreement.
But it's still something that we need to bring back in.
Yeah, if the parties agree, there's a provision in it that the parties.
To bring it back and approve it at a later meeting on Schedule B?
Yeah, if both parties agree in writing, we can change it.
Okay.
However, it needs to be changed.
Okay. Elaine and Tom, thank you guys for putting this together. I know one of the things that I always try to get my hands around was this particular train service agreement, because there were so many pieces of it that was scattered, like Mike mentioned. It'll be nice to get it all under one document that we can refer to when we need information. So thank you for your work on this. And I know that with the posting requirements that, it was a challenge. So again, thank you guys. But I'll open that up to any other comments or questions from the board.
Yeah, I got 3. I'll start with the easiest ones first. On page 11 of 12, you have a little chart of round trip, Carson City to VC. Just for clarity, you got special trains, round trip train, I guess, Carson City to VC, steam, $5,750. What's the $7,500? Is that what is that? Is that for 2 trains, or? I don't understand what that last column is. On page 11 of 12, in the middle of the page, you got the little chart there, round trip, Carson City to VC.
Oh, the difference between why this 5,750 versus this 7,500?
Yeah.
Tom, can you help me there?
It's confusing to me too. I think that's if we had to do an extra one-way trip.
The deadhead. It was the deadhead.
Yes.
Okay, so we should,
Overnight on Saturday.
that should be cleared up. It makes it, yeah.
We've never used
It's
that.
just a number floating out there. We don't know what it is.
We've never used that provision.
Yeah.
Did you want to label it as a deadhead, or did you want to delete that?
It doesn't exist. I think we anticipated something that never happened
Oh, okay.
so far.
Okay, so what I see, Jack, is if you look at where it says standard round-trip trains, special trains, it looks as if deadheads are required, fell below the line. Do you see that?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's a format issue.
It's a format issue, so we need to bring that up.
Okay.
Okay?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's a good catch, Jack, because I've had, scratched my head on that too, wondering what the actual price was. Now it makes sense.
Great one.
Okay. My second one was, there was a couple times, I'll go back to page 3 of 12, because it's all over the place, but you've dubbed Thomas Train as the V&T RR, but when you were explaining issues or things, you were saying R and R, R and R. It's RR, it's not R and R. You were going R and R. So- Okay. There's been so much problems with confusing our names together. I want to make sure it's just RR, it's not R and R. Okay, so it's RR?
It's R period, R period.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then lastly, just above terms and conditions, number 1. I think it's the last sentence. Yeah, the chairman of the commission and V&T RR may agree in writing to change, alter, or reschedule rates, times, and any other pertinent items at any time during the term of this contract. The issue I have with that is not that
I have an issue with it. I don't want that word. I would prefer to bring it to the board. I know where you're going.
The thing is, we've left a calendar open for Elaine to maybe generate rides and trains, so we don't need her to have to stop everything to get some approval from us to speak of. I'm sure that if she came up with something, she's going to bring it to the board and say, hey, I'm going to try this, and we'll be okay with that. So I just found that sentence a little restricting for our new general manager.
Yeah, and I think it says may in there, but I'd be more comfortable with the board of the commission versus the chair.
Or, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounded like maybe this was a holdover from the previous commission.
Yeah.
That perhaps the general manager, we should delegate that authority to the general manager to have.
That sounds
If
fine
that's
with
where
me,
you're
yeah.
going, I think that
Yeah.
that would be, I would definitely go for that.
Got it.
Change that to director.
Okay, Jack, which page was that on?
That, on page 3 of 12,
3. Okay.
you there?
Yeah. I will be there just shortly.
Terms and conditions in the middle of the page.
Right here.
I think it's paragraph 1,
Paragraph 1?
right?
The last sentence, the chairman of the commission and the V&T RR may agree, blah,
Got
blah,
it.
blah. It should say, instead of the
General-
chairman, it should say the
general
general manager.
General manager.
Everybody agree with that?
I would agree with that.
I'll support that in a motion.
The one thing, and Elaine, you mentioned this the other day, the one thing that could be a catch, and Mike, you could clarify, in Elaine's contract, she doesn't have the authority to sign contracts. Would that throw a hiccup in this?
I think this, if you gave her that authority, actually, she and I have had a conversation about that, and we were going to bring something in June to
Okay,
have you guys consider more aspects of what Elaine's going to be doing for the commission, because she does at times need to sign on behalf of the commission, and we need to get that kind of laid out, so we're sort of shooting for June to bring that to you guys.
yeah, I like that. I think there's, you had to bring something to me, a phone bill or some contract. I was like, I don't need to sign this stuff. We needed, but she didn't have the authority to do that, so we can bring that
Right.
back and delegate that.
Correct.
Got it.
My question to Elaine was, in your contract, do you have authority to sign up to for a certain amount, or and it isn't there? So what we need to do is have you, as a commission, delegate specifically what it is that you're going to have her doing. On this paragraph, or this sentence, historically, it came about, you guys are completely reorganized from the way the last administration of the commission was run. And bottom line was, it was pretty much Dwight, and when he was alive, Kevin Ray, that did the day in, day out stuff. And the idea behind this sentence was, for each year, the chairman and Tom would get together and recreate a new schedule for the Schedule A. But again, you guys are running this much differently, and I think what you proposed is a good idea.
Good. Anything else, Jack?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, any other board comments? Joel, Stan, you guys good? You good? Any public comment on this item? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion, if somebody's brave enough to capture all those adjustments.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve, approve the renewal contract for the train operation with Tom Gray and the Virginia Truckee Railroad for a 10-year agreement with noted changes of page 3 of 12 in the contract, a change in paragraph 1 under terms and conditions, a change to eliminate the chairman, replacing with the general manager, and a change in the payment schedule noted with just a correction that Deadheads falls above the second item, starting with 7,500.
That would be on page 11 of 12.
Correct, 11 of 12.
And just so unless I heard that wrong, you said 10-year or a 5-year?
Yeah.
5
I
years.
was going to ask, I think we have a 5-year agreement.
5-year.
The intellectual property would be 10.
Correct.
All right.
I thought I heard that right.
I'll change the motion with the 5.
Okay. All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll move on to agenda item number 7. This is for possible action, consideration, and possible approval of a contract with Thomas Gray and the Virginia and Truckee Railroad for the lease of the Eastgate Ticket Office gift shop. Elaine?
So what the board has, and I've put additional copies on this chair in the second row towards the front, if the public would like to take a look. This lease is a simple one. It is for our gift shop inside the ticketing office. This is not the Polar Express gift shop, the large one inside of the train station. This would be year-round or during our season. And where Tom has, his merchandise represents V&T very well. And that's mainly what our passengers are after, or it's that type of product. It was a natural to go to Tom and ask him if he would like to run the gift shop. He and his sister run the general merchant store. What's the name of your store? Grant's General Store in Virginia City, and their product is right down the line of what our passengers would be looking for. But again, it is a simple lease. It's approximately $2,500 a year, but we are also only in operation 4 months out of the year. So this again, this is a one-year agreement. This is new. This hasn't been done before. So we agreed to a one-year trial, and if they like it, they'll stick with us. Overall, if you have a chance to read through here, otherwise, Denny, in order to approve this, do we need to read it beginning to end?
I don't think
No?
so.
Okay.
No, I think it was handed out, unless
And-
Mike tells me different.
And as I said, it's a very simple contract. Renewal terms will come towards the end of the term. If he does not terminate the term within 90 days, we automatically renew, meaning that he agrees to go with us another year. It's inside of our ticket office, so of course we're going to cover the utilities and the other services, meaning trash service, things like that. We have agreed that we have access to the retail store. As far as insurance, we're covered there. We also insure the ticketing office. It follows Nevada law. And there is a way of canceling the agreement before the end of the term with no penalty. Again, this is a very simple lease for a gift shop that maybe having a subcontractor and having somebody there with the retail background is going to benefit not only Tom, but ourselves.
Good. Yeah, Elaine, I think it's a great idea. I know that it's Tom and his family have been doing this for a long time, and they got the items streamlined. They know what sells, what doesn't, and it's not a big guessing game. And just for the board's information, the amount total lease is the amount that we put in our budget for this next fiscal year. So that does match up.
So,
any board comment?
Yeah, just real quickly, I think it's a great idea. Just asking probably before Commissioner Jones has a chance, legal counsel had a chance to review this, and you're comfortable with the terms?
I did review it, and I don't have any questions about the way the contract was written, but I would refer to Tom because he had a question that he sent out in an email either late yesterday or this morning, I can't remember which. He wanted to be sure that he was able to continue to sell his general merchandise during the time that Polar was running, and I'm just bringing it up because I don't know if Tom got a satisfactory answer to it or whether he wants you guys to answer that question.
Actually, Tom and I spent a lot of time this morning on the phone, and we did go over the retail lease. And yes, this is 12 months. The month of December, he's open. He definitely, we will encourage people to shop in the ticket office gift shop. And I also invited him to put some product over in the Polar Express store. So again, we will work effectively together to make sure it's a win-win.
Okay. I think we'll make note of that and mention in the motion for approval that year lease includes the retail component for all 12 months of the lease. So yeah, thank you.
Any other board comment?
Great idea.
Any public comment on this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the renewal contract with Tom Gray with V&T Railroad for lease of Eastgate Ticket Office to include a 12-month lease covered on the lease.
I have a motion
I'll second that.
and a second now. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries.
I would like to make a
Comment.
correction, because Stan stated a renewal. It's not a renewal, it's the first time.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
Okay.
I'll stand corrected.
Okay, then with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 8 for possible action, consideration and possible approval of Double Knot LLC online ticketing service agreement. I'll start on this one here. Obviously, we know we started out fresh with a lot of things, looking at the operation, looking at what we wanted to do different, looking at what was working, what was not working. Some of the things that came up over the course of the last 6 months with specifically Commissioner Dunn and myself. Regards to reporting, the Polar Express information, their royalties, pulling some of their financial reports for that. The ability to have inventory at the depot control, the ability to market through newsletters, the membership program, just different things that we kind of thought that maybe we would look at a different platform. So we got our two teams together, and we kind of looked at some other platforms that were being used out there, other train companies, talked with Tom a little bit, Gray about what he uses, talked with the folks out in Ely on the train there, and we came up with Double Knot was with who they use. So we asked for a presentation, so all of us got in the office and they did a video conference and kind of walked us through some of the things that I thought that we were kind of struggling with and that wanting to maybe move in a different direction. So we presented to them. In your packet there is kind of a list of a few things. I'm going to let Joel talk about some of the ticketing options. I'm going to get some of the benefits. I believe it's on page 3 in Double Knot's thing. Just again, some of the things that the application features that come with Double Knot. Reservation module for groups and tours and rentals, ticketing and event admissions, fundraising events, donations, campaigns, merchandise sales on-site and also online, shopping cart, which we do have that now, sales station, so in other words, a mobile POS system that integrates with the ticket system, keeps their inventory with mobile devices that interact with that can be on real time, giving folks credit on their ticket, giving folks selling more tickets on the spot. The PO, like I mentioned, the POS system, the doing email data groups. There's a database up to 200,000 members, ticket buyers, that we can market to directly that is to no additional cost. Make their newsletter, surveys, photo albums, payments, of that kind of stuff. So we looked at this and we looked at the overall thing, not just knowing that we needed something, a ticket platform, but something that would help us, again, keep the inventory at the depot, create memberships, do local buy-ins. There are custom features in there that we can do overnight packages here in Carson City, add attraction passes with this for Virginia City. And then again, just kind of looked at the total package and thought that this would be beneficial to the commission. And with that, Joel's going to talk a little bit about some of the savings on the ticket purchases.
You know, kind of backtracking also in regard to the Double Knot, I think we were at a point in a transition, and not having been a part of the full meeting or the presentation by Double Knot, going back and talking to the staff of the CTA, they certainly felt that Double Knot met the requirements and surpassed the requirements that we'd be looking at for reporting user friendliness, accessibility, mobile friendly, the whole gamut. Although looking and going back now, and I think that having a chance not having now moved forward and hired a general manager, I think that it probably afforded the opportunity at the time to look at the same transparency that we've put forth when we hired our marketing firm, when we hired our general manager. I think we were all under a sense of urgency in getting something in place, knowing that we were potentially going to have a new marketing firm, that we potentially would be needing a ticketing system. That being said, looking at the fee structure, I don't know if the fee structure surpasses that of the requirements that we would have legally had to go out to an RFP, but I think we're in a position that we can now. And for full transparency, I do recommend that we as a board look at the contract. I agree with Denny. I think they surpass all of the expectations, everything that we require out of a ticketing module, but we probably and should reach out in an RFP process to make sure that there's nobody else that also surpasses that would afford us a savings. So I would think that we'd want to come back to the board to start an RFP process, putting it out, having Double Knot come back in. I don't believe that they've done anything within their scope of work, so I don't think there would be an issue with the signature authorizing this contract that we would be, any type of an obligation currently with Double Knot. I'd have to ask Michael that.
When this was brought to my attention by Elaine, and I saw Denny's signature on it, frankly, my reaction was that it was ultra virus and that it should come to the commission for approval before signature. And I don't think the contract is binding on the commission because the full commission hadn't reviewed it before it was executed by the chair.
That being said, when you look at some of the additional charges with our pass ticketing system, all that I've had a chance to look into was that of Polar Express. And when you look at, there's always surcharges on the back end, there's always additional fees for merchant fees. Breaking down the price per ticket we are responsible for 30% of the base rate in our contractual agreement with Rail Events for Polar Express. So when you look at the breakout, even our old ticketing system had the ticketing fees. There's percentages ranging anywhere from 10.8% up to 30.73% over and above base rate. So there's certainly fees in any ticketing module that's built in. My understanding is that a greater portion, if not all of that ticketing fee was that developed by the commission and the past treasurer. Not the treasurer of the board, but actually the accountant. So in moving forward, I want to make sure that everyone's aware that you will see all of these ticketing RFPs or proposals coming in, and they're all going to have fees attached, additional merchant fees. We as a commission are going to have to decide then if we're passing those on to the consumer, which then it wouldn't become a cost incurred within the contract. So I think that's where, when I look at the double knot contract, if we're looking at the obligation of paying some of those merchant fees and the additional fees, then I think we surpass that $24.99. But if it's not, then we're nowhere near it.
I don't think so, yeah. I mean, that's just a pass-through like with any ticketing agency. So, yeah, and again, I think a lot of this was we were just trying to get stuff in place knowing that we had to get tickets up for sale. And we were looking for what would work best, trying to solve several issues that we were having in regards to the, we don't have a POS system down there, that we don't have inventory, we don't have a lot of these things in place, so.
So my recommendation also would then include that if we have an opportunity now, the ticketing module that we've used historically is up and running, and it's available to start selling the tickets. I believe we already have for the Mother's Day train. The only suggestion I would make to the board then is that if we start the RFP process to bring back that contract or potential contract with either Double Knot or whoever is the awardee of that RFP, we forego, and I know this is probably not what everyone wants to hear, but forego the sale of the Polar Express tickets until that contract is in place. And the reason being is that if the successful bidder is the current ticketing system, then we start and it transitions, but I don't want to have tickets in two different ticketing modules for Polar Express. When you're breaking out every one of those identified fees to establish a base rate and the percentage thereof within that contract, I would prefer not to have to work between two contracts.
Would that hold you up from selling tickets?
No, currently, the agreement that Denny inferred to was we signed an agreement with Activity Tickets, the previous service provider, just to see us through the Mother's Day train through June 15th. We do not, we can start selling Polar Express after we have the new ticketing service in place.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of throw this back to Mike a little bit. Mike, as a chair, I certainly want to be transparent, but I think even in regards to using the Activity Tickets, I just signed a contract for us to use that platform for the next, so technically I was out of probably, out of line doing that as well. If we got to compare apples to apples here, I want to do what's best for this commission. I don't have a stake in the game here at all. I want to do something, and we had a sense of urgency. I don't personally think that an operating system like this needs to go to RFP, but I don't think the dollar amount's there. But of course, I'll let the board and you guys make your comments, and we can make a decision. But I think, am I right in saying that if we did one with Activity Tickets to continue that, we should have brought that to the board as well?
Perhaps, Denny, but there was also some exigency, and Elaine was hamstrung as far as getting any tickets sold. When we talked about it, the previous contract was in existence, and
no, there's no contract on selling tickets.
Have an agreement with, I can't think of the name of the company.
Activity.
No, we haven't had a contract.
Yeah, I think what Mike's referring to is we had an agreement for our email blasts. Originally, we were trying to pacify and use S&J, Smith & Jones, to see us through. This contract was under under $2,500 and specifically said 3 months. It was from from April 15th through June 15th, that was it. There's no add-on, there's no agreement that it could be extended. It was just to see us through this time period until we could get up and going.
It was under the $2,500. So, and we needed to get the tickets on the market.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we were 3-4 months ago, was just trying to get something in place. But it's no one's fault here. I don't think anybody's trying to be sneaky here. We're just trying to get something in place that would work best for the commission and cover more than just what was currently there and help with reporting. But with that, if the board wishes to put it out to RFP, I'm open for comments and suggestions.
Well, if I understand, the existing contract is not valid, in your opinion, right, Mike?
With Double Knot?
Right.
That's correct, Stan.
Okay, then we need to void that contract and put an RFP out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I agree with all that, everything that Joel had brought up as well. I think it's part of the process, and I assume you intended it to be that way, Joel. Correct me if you didn't, but we probably need to have an expedited period for this additional RFP we're going to do. And I'd like the general manager to lead the selection process so that the commission members, we're not involved. The general manager conducts the RFP, has an internal selection committee that she puts together, and then brings us a recommendation.
I agree with that.
As far as the size of the committee to review the candidates, would you do 3 or 5? I have an idea of what would work, and that would be to include our new marketing agency, a representative from our Argentum partners, of course Candy Duncan, as she's the one that operates the system and has been selling the tickets, myself, and then of course a representative from CTA and VCTC.
Comfortable with that?
Okay. So with that, we'll just table this.
Or you could,
We still have to void this contract with Double Knot, right?
you could vote to not approve of the Double Knot contract and authorize the general manager to conduct an RFP process.
All right, I'm going to take a shot at it so that we can put the language that was discussed. So I move to not accept the signed Double Knot contract with Double Knot LLC for ticketing services and move forward with the general manager of the V&T Commission to facilitate an agreement with activity tickets through June 15th of 2018, provided we expedite an RFP process for a ticketing provider, a ticketing contractor for 2018-2019 season.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 9 for possible action. Treasurer's report, Mr. Dunn.
All right, as noted under public comment at the beginning, the only thing included in the packet for today's meeting is the accounts payable listing totaling $216,505.86, so payable claims. In the future, all of the balance sheets, profit and loss statements, everything will be coming from Story County. The interlocal agreement was passed last month. There's still a transition of 2 different accounts, one currently managed by the City of Carson City and one by the Commission that's now jointly being ran by the VCT and also the CTA. Both of those, I believe, are looking at a transfer as early as this Friday. So we'll come back with statements at the June meeting, as mentioned. So going through the two-page payable claims totaling $216,505.86, I won't go through them in detail. It's pretty much standard operations. There's nothing there that stands out to me. If there's any questions, these weren't. What's that?
Rail events, royalty is a big one.
Rail events, okay. I'll touch on the rail events royalty payment. So once again, we are contractually obligated to pay 30% of the base ticket price to rail events. That's the Polar Express contract. There was two payments made, one for November, which included partial ticket sales between the start of the season through the end of November. There was some additional tickets that I don't believe were part of that we paid for the final payment. The final payment included $152,561.14 to rail events, and that was for the 30% of ridership for Polar Express. That once again included December, the week after Christmas that we included this year. I think that had a little over $136,000 in revenue, and any remaining ticket sales that weren't paid for in November. The $3,063.75 was the royalty agreement for the photography, and that's also in the contract. The breakdown, just matter of record, because I didn't have it when I was looking for it. I have it now. I worked with Smith & Jones on it. The breakdown for the base rate of the ticket, the adult VIP ticket to the consumer is $82. The base rate is $69. That's the adult VIP. Included in that ticket price is the historical preservation. That's an 8%. There's an 8% historical preservation fee attached to all ticket sales. The ticketing fee was 10.84%, totaling $7.48. Once again, total to the consumer, $82. The child VIP ticket was $72. We paid 30% of the base rate of $59.80. 8% historical preservation fee of $4.78. The ticketing fee was 10.3%, total of $7.42. Adult coach, $46, base rate $35.88. Historical preservation fee, $287. Ticketing fee, $7.25, representing 15.76%. The child coach ticket, $36, base rate of $26.68. Historical preservation, $2.13. Ticketing fee, $7.19, representing 19.97%. Adult coach, and this would be actually the discounted rate of $24.88 base rate. The ticketing fee, 22.36%, $8.05. Historical preservation is the 8% is $2.07. And the discounted coach child came in 26, base rate of $16.68. Historical preservation fee, $1.33. Ticketing fee of 30.73% at $7.99. I'll make sure this is available and included. And as a reminder, I know we've made quite a few corrections to the contracts today. Just I know staff will have that up on the website, so this will be included in the website. Okay, as backup. Outside that, entertain any other questions?
Any public comment on this item? To entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Oh, I do have Mr. Gray.
I'm just kind of catching up a little bit, but, Kelly's in the room here and Candy, they're using the same ticketing system. And, this is right in the middle of the season when you need to be selling tickets. I don't think I'd change that horse right away. I'd give the current system, that's in the middle of June. That'd be tough to do.
Agreed.
My recommendation is stick with them for sure.
Any motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
I'll second that.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move on to agenda item number 10, discussion only. Elaine, General Manager update.
I'd like to invite the board to come out to Eastgate Depot and to see all of the changes. It's very impressive. We've had a team out there each weekend, of April. They're nearly complete. The ticket office looks fabulous. We now have a commissioner's office available in the ticket office. I'll be using it as well, but it's where we will maintain our records. You will find us there during the weekday, but definitely there on the weekends. But again, this is for the commissioner's use as well. Thank you, Stan, for helping out, picking out the paint and giving us some direction. The maintenance team has been great. They took all your pointers. It did take 2 coats, and you don't want to know what I found there or what we found there. But even the train station itself has been cleaned. It's been swept. We've dusted. We blew out all the dust out of that huge building. All the merchandise has been boxed and out of the way so that Tom and his store can move in. We'll have one big yard sale this summer. But overall, the train station is looking great. I've had a discussion with Denny, and we plan on getting some benches, putting out some hanging flower pots, and some old-fashioned decor, and making it look like something that we can all be proud of. I'd also like to thank Carson City Public Works for coming out right away. Just within the next day, they were out there filling the potholes, grading the parking lot. It looks fabulous. It looks a lot different than it did earlier this month. And again, I want to invite you all out there. I'm going to stop by before or after the meeting and take a look at what was completed last night. But we have started to also work on pulling the artifacts that were donated to the commission out of storage, and we're going to be doing displays somewhat like how a museum set up, somewhat like the Slammer Museum in Virginia City at Story County Courthouse. We're adding a little life to the depot. I'm going to let Candy speak about the ticket sales, but I'd also like to thank, I take it that you are...
That's Kelly.
Kelly. We have not met, but thank you for helping us out, getting us going and getting us back on track. I'm going to go ahead and let the Argentum present what marketing that we've been on, that we've rolled out. But maybe the most exciting right now has got to be Candy's ticket sales for the past 2 days since we started the marketing and we opened up the ticket sell option. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board? No? Okay. Nothing from the public on that one? We'll move on to number 11, discussion only, marketing report or update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Mike Draper. I'm a partner at Argentum Partners, and we've sure enjoyed working with you in the short period of time that we've had the opportunity to work with you. We've been working with Candy and Elaine to transition some of the current previous marketing efforts. The current marketing efforts, that's ongoing. Everything from assessing what assets we have available, from photography, video assets, things like that, to transitioning websites, social media accounts so that we can really make those active and engaged, and concurrently trying to market the fact that our season opens here in the next 3 weeks. So over the last 2 weeks, we put a press release out announcing a new executive director. Yesterday, we put a press release out announcing the Mother's Day train rides are available, and have begun to set up interviews and have had pretty good success with local media about those interviews, and are anticipating a good turnout for that event. We also have appreciated working with Kelly, and we're getting ready to put an e-blast out also about Mother's Day, which will probably go out in the next 24 hours, and we'll continue to push that way. Social media is lagging behind just a little bit because we've had to transition accounts, passwords, things like that, but you'll see that go into full effect by May 1st, so by next Tuesday, we'll have our social media accounts firing and pushing that. We're also reaching out to various chambers of commerce and other organizations throughout northern Nevada to make them aware when our season opens, and not only push Mother's Day, but also the following week push our season opening. Is it appropriate to talk about our VIP event also? We're also looking forward to something that's come, that we put our heads together and come up with in the last week and a half is we're going to do a VIP event, a ribbon cutting, more or less a kickoff to this season on June 2nd, Saturday, June 2nd. Hopefully you can all attend. We're still working through exactly what the agenda of that would look like, but the intent is to kind of capture the low-hanging fruit, to invite all of the various tourism authorities and their boards, executive directors and their boards from RCVA, Tahoe, Carson City, Virginia City, and other either elected officials or organizations that could have a direct impact on our ridership over the next year. Invite them out, have them, it's an invite-only event, have them experience the train, familiarize themselves with you all, with our new executive director, and hear a little bit about what the mission of the train is, where it's headed, what we'd like to do, and engage them in helping to market our organization as well. We're on the governor's calendar. Doesn't mean he's going to be there, but we're on his calendar. We're working to see if we can get the governor there to help with the ribbon cutting, as well as the lieutenant governor and other key elected officials in the state, so that next year, if we go to the legislative session and we have an opportunity to potentially ask for more funding and more support from the legislature, we'll be positioned there as well. So over the next month, we've got a lot of things cooking. Hopefully that's one, though, that if we can get RCVA working us into their media FAMs and Lake Tahoe working us into their media FAMs, we can have some pretty good success there. So maximize our resources by exposing people to what we're doing and the vision that you all have implemented.
Cool. Mike, I got a question for you. Have we, maybe Elaine, have we secured all of our email database addresses? Do we know that yet? I know that there's a couple things that have gone out. I haven't got a copy on those, so I was just kind of curious. I was getting copied on those before, so I was just wondering if we have the same list.
We don't, Danny. We're starting from brand new on the lists right now, and that's an error on our part, is to not have included the board members on those press releases that went out. We will remedy that quickly, and go from there. But we are starting new on the databases, so they're definitely not perfect. There's probably more than we've received. A lot of people who said don't need to be on this, but there are still people that should be added to that haven't been.
Okay.
And Denny, I would like to add to Mike's discussion, that VIP train is a very big deal. In fact, we've been working with Tom. We're going to add the parlor car to the event. Tom is going to help us out with the cloth bunting and some of the decor inside the parlor car and the passenger car. We'll be thinking of ways to enhance it as well. But we've got the word out, and we've got reenactors coming, and they'll be, performing at the train station that day. There's a little over a dozen people, and they're going to be in character. They're there for a train ride to Virginia City. They're very excited, and they're dressed in the 1800s costume. They will not break character, but each of them has a story about why they're riding the train and how they are so excited to ride this first train of the season into Virginia City. We'll have their luggage out as if it was going to go aboard. It's going to be, just to steal a term, as if they'd stepped back in time. So by the time the guests get there, they're going to have the feel of the 1800s. We're going to put out the advertisements. We'll do everything that we possibly can to make that station look like it was something from the 1800s. And then we're going to stop in Gold Hill and have lunch at the Gold Hill Depot. Thank you, Denny. And there we'll do our pitch to our guests and let them know about the train, what our plans are for the future. But it's enhancing that experience for those VIPs so that they can get the gist of what we would like to also have our average customer or average passenger, they should be experiencing something just like they're experiencing on that day. And yes, that will take funding. Maybe not the lunch at the Gold Hill Depot, but when they come to our train station, rather than seeing a metal building, they need to be more focused on, there's things going on, including the cowboy comedy show, the museum inside, the characters, meeting and greeting. It's, again, it's creating that experience that you've asked us to come up with ideas.
That's cool.
With the intent being that we're going to invite them as stakeholders or potential stakeholders to share our vision and our goals. And we're working on an invite. This idea has only come about in the last week and a half. A lot of effort and time has been put in to make sure it can happen, and then we make sure we put our best foot forward. We're working on an invite right now, and you will each get that invite, obviously for yourselves, but our hope is also that we want to make sure we capture all of the key stakeholders or potential stakeholders we should be capturing. So we also have an invite list that's in process that we'll send to you, but to put our best foot forward and create a bunch of third-party ambassadors or re-engage some of our current third-party ambassadors.
Sounds like a great idea. I like it. Just as a note, when in the planning stages, especially Gold Hill Hotel, that's Reno Tahoe Odyssey, same day. So not a big deal, but there's about 3,500 runners that will come up through the tracks right there at Gold Hill. So just something to kind of think about. I looked at my calendar.
We're actually hoping we can capture some media attention by
There you go.
taking advantage of
There
that.
might be an opportunity, absolutely. Yeah. You might get someone to cheat and take the train up instead of having to run that darn Grinders Bend. Yeah, exactly. Another question for you, Mike, was in regards to grants. Are we doing anything with the marketing grants from the Commission on Tourism?
Andy?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we did. We applied for 3 new grants in this most recent cycle. Joel and his staff, put together one that we were able to submit for V&T, Geo-Targeted and Behavioral Ad Program, and if you would like to know what that means, I know Joel will be happy to tell you, because I'm not sure. We also put in a grant for the V&T Railway brochure updates and distribution, because we are going to be doing rebranding, so we felt we needed to freshen up the brochure to match our rebranding. And the other one was the V&T Railway website rebranding. We also put in a grant for that. And the amounts that we asked for, we asked for a grant of $18,750 for the rebranding of the website, for a total budget of $37,500. For the brochure, we asked for $7,375 for a total budget of $14,750. And for the geo-targeting grant, we asked for $7,500 for the, is that right? Is that what we asked for? Yes, $7,500. So those are the 3 grants we applied for. And we're working on getting the grants, our current grants all reimbursed. We're working on that now. There's 5 of those. And 3 of them I've got everything I need. 2 I don't, because they were late. One was for after-season marketing, and we've discussed that one. And the other one was, I don't remember what that last one was, but I know we're working on that too.
Any other questions from the board?
Just want to again extend an opportunity to use the scrub list from the Carson City CTA for your emails. I think there's a roughly 15,000 that's been scrubbed on the list.
Perfect. That would be great, Joel.
Okay.
Let's talk offline on what's the best way to utilize that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job,
Okay.
Mike.
Thank you, guys. This is great.
Yep.
These guys have been fantastic. So, we've enjoyed this a lot.
Cool. Okay, move on to number 12 there for discussion only, ticket sales report.
Yeah, this is fun. We actually, thanks to Kelly and to Elaine and to whoever else got involved with us to get this expedited, but we actually were able to start selling tickets just 2.5 days ago. And I'm happy to report to you that in 2.5 days, we've sold 195 tickets for $9,598.24 going in the bank account. And they weren't just for Mother's Day. We opened up everything, but of course, Polar Express. And everyone, I mean, I had a list of over 100 names of people who were just calling, saying, when can I finally buy tickets? And everyone was delighted. And I also want to tell you, because of this train on the 2nd, the VIP train, as long as it's there, we decided we'll open that up to the public on the 3rd and do our kickoff on the 3rd of June. And I had a whole list of people that wanted to ride that train that I've made very happy by telling them we're going to have a train after all. So, you know, when I finish selling Polar Express tickets, I'm really grumpy and I never want to talk to another person as long as I live. But then I get time to get over that, and I'm having such a good time talking to everybody. They're all so excited to ride the train, and it's fun to be able to help them do that. So thank you for getting that going, and thank you, Kelly. That was in the lane. That was great. I'm so happy to be selling tickets, so thank you.
Yes.
Going back to Tom's comments, do we want to continue with this RFP that we're talking about on tickets? Or do we want to, you were suggesting we stay with the same agency this year, Tom? Is that correct?
You know, we sold 2 million tickets, most of them were out of the cigar box on the internet, but I would be scared to death to change a whole new ticketing system in the middle of the season when you're really just right at it. Candy already knows this, she's gonna have to learn a new system. And, there's a lot of bells and whistles, so I mean, you know, you can evolve into something else, but I would, that's a big change in the middle of the season.
So then, Elaine, how do you feel about this?
Do you know, I have to tell you, I'm going to leave this up to the board, because I do realize that there was a goal to make change, but if we do go to an RFP, and activity tickets is, you know, their proposal is one that meets all of our needs for this fiscal year, that's great. But I do need to think back on what you all wanted, and that was to look at other options. And that's why I was glad to hear that you would open it up to an RFP and make that, you know, let's get some more presentations and then make that decision. And that's where I believe I'm still at.
One other question, what is the cost differential?
So we won't know that until we get the
Well, if
RFPs.
you take the existing double knot, compare it.
I couldn't compare the two without going into detail and contacting Kelly and asking her for detail, and that wouldn't have been fair to her.
Jack, comment?
My last conversation with Kelly before the changing of the guard is that, you know, she knew that we were looking at all the contracts a lot closer, and she sounded willing to renegotiate, you know, to help us get the costs down. So the cards didn't fall that way. She wasn't able to, I guess, bid on it. So, but I don't know if there's still an opportunity for her to give us a break somewhere during this process, to maybe give her an extra check mark on her resume. I don't know.
Well, backtracking, I think we're for lack of protection, I think we're way off on the agenda item. We're going back to something we already made a motion and passed, but we have an agreement, and that agreement was for a dollar amount to get us through June of this year. We also made a motion to approve the RFP process. I fully expect that activity tickets will be putting in for the RFP. So that being said, they have every opportunity. Yeah.
Thanks, Joel. Okay, and any public comment on ticket? Oh, yeah, more? Oh, sorry, Jack.
Another question about the ticketing. I see on this report here that we haven't entered Polar Express on it. Is there a reason for that?
So I want to add to this. I think what was handed out under public comment was a chart that was handed out during the stakeholder community SWOT analysis, and it was not near the end of the season. Later on, under commission comments, I'll go ahead and update some of those numbers for you.
Jack, you good?
Good.
Okay. Any public comment? Okay, move on to item number 13. I don't believe that Ken's not here today, so I think we'll just move on past that and go on to the attorney's report, item number 14.
I don't have, excuse me, I don't have anything more to add than what I've already said about the agenda items that you reviewed and approved or acted on. That constituted the bulk of what I've been doing the last a couple of weeks anyway with Elaine.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board for Mike? No, good. Okay, move on to number 15, discussion only. Next meeting dates and agenda items. I think we were looking at still skipping May. We had a lot going on with staff being in Polar Express Camp, the kickoff, a lot to do. I think today's productivity allows us to probably still plan that. I don't think there's anything pressing that we need to do, but I'll let you follow up.
Well, I don't know if you want to talk about the ticketing RFP, but we may need to do a May meeting, and in fact, I think we're going to have to, especially in light of the comments that Tom made, that I think everyone up here agreed with. So perhaps we look at a May meeting early in May, maybe 2 weeks from now, so we can be done with this, hopefully.
Yeah, I would agree, and I'd also think that on future agenda items, I think we need to bring back, if it's not at a special meeting, we certainly would have a regular scheduled meeting earlier in May. I think we need to address within the contract with our general manager what the current scope of work allows her to do without authorization or coming back to the board. I don't want to handcuff Elaine in going and doing her business and waiting till the end of June to do that. You're already so far into the season. So I would recommend, even if it's as soon as we can get a special meeting together, looking at the scope of work you put together for the RFP for the tickets at a minimum, bringing that back, and then we can introduce that. The other concern on the second meeting, June 28th, and without having Hugh here today, I think that my concern is we're certainly going to have to do an augmentation for this current fiscal year, and I don't know that having it on the 28th of June is going to provide enough time for an augmentation. So I think either Danny or I will talk with Hugh on the time frame for an augmentation, and that once again may require a special meeting near the end of June.
Okay. Do you want to look at May 10th potentially to do a meeting, Elaine?
Yes.
That would be a 2-week. That'd be 2 weeks from now.
Yes, I think that would work.
Okay.
You or maybe Tiffany can reach out and see if the venue here is available. I think you think at 1 o'clock again?
Yeah, pending availability of the room, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we keep it basically the same, just changing the Thursday of the month, that keeps it simple.
Okay. I'll let you take the lead on that. You guys got it. Okay. Then we'll move on to item number 16, commissioner comments. We'll start on the left here. Mr. Jones.
I have nothing else to comment. Well, I do have one comment. If we need any work done from the city, we got to do it in the next month because we're going to lose our city manager. So any public works, we got to get going here. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, get the parking lot.
Get it repaved?
Yeah, repave the parking lot, yeah.
And I do want to thank the marketing team and Candy and Elaine for all the work they're doing. It sounds like we're off to a great start.
All right, as noted, not being able to discuss under public comment at the beginning of the meeting, the V&T summary for ticket sales that was presented was a handout that was provided to all of the attendees during a stakeholder SWOT analysis that was held earlier. Actually, it was about mid to late 2017, so some of the numbers weren't finalized. I'll throw some numbers out now, but I will verify these with both activity tickets and with Candy. But the numbers that were reported earlier this year for final numbers, standard revenue for the standard season 2017 came in at $319,329.75. So that would be up from 2016, but nowhere near that of the previous years, 2011 through 2005, or 2015, which certainly, once again, tells us and the entire team from marketing that our focus is to make sure that we continue to look at the standard season. Revenue coming in for 2017 Polar Express was at $813,487. That's up from $747,430 in 2016. It's continued to trend successfully up, starting originally in 2011 at $239,000. So ticket sales for the standard season were at $7,207. That is down from 2015. The total ticket sales were $24,677, which then the remaining tickets of Polar Express was $17,470. I'll update these numbers working with Candy, and once again, we'll have this as a handout at the next meeting. Okay.
Also, excuse me for interrupting, but I would like to thank Joel and his team. We needed to get tickets printed for the train, and Joel was able to, this is our last year design, but he was able to get them printed for us. And so we're going to actually have tickets to hand out on our first run, and they're beautiful, of course.
Well, I think this partnership, and with the new formation of this board, you have a complete partnership with both the Virginia City Tourism Authority and the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority, and everything we can provide, we will. Okay. I'm speaking for Denny now.
Yeah. I don't have to speak that way. Go down to Jack.
Yes.
Your mic.
Elaine and I visited Heller's office. Elaine and I visited Heller's offices, sat down with the staff, Dean wasn't there, and talked about trying to get funding for our train, to get some more train tracks built. And of course, it was explained that Boehner had cut off all of the pork barrel spending, so it's not like in the old days, Harry Reid got the train $20 million. They just don't do that anymore. So, but all they can really do is endorse whatever we're trying to do we'll have to go towards the state more and work that route. There are grants available, but you have to match at least 10%, and it kind of puts you at the bottom of the list for grants. So to get to the top of the list, you have to put up 50%, and of course we're talking millions of dollars here. So, but that's not stopping me to speak of. I think we can maybe get grants, but then try to get the state or somebody to help cover our half. So I'm trying to find a wiggle room, to get around it. So that's where we're at. We still need to sit down with Catherine Cortez Masto now, and I think we're going to get the same information, but at least get some on our page, the page with us, and so we have somebody to lean on, if we need. The other thing was, I know Elaine's been, her and her crew, which is that one guy, she calls the crew. Oh, is there three? I only saw one. But anyway, they've been out there cleaning up the depot and painting and getting the office all cleaned up, and it looks really good. The bad part about it is when you drive in there, you have to drive by all of that rows and rows of slash pile. I don't know what those are. Is it something wood that they're going to chip up and recycle? I don't know what it is, but it's like, can we put a big fence to hide it or do something, because it looks terrible.
Yeah, I'll talk to someone about that. So, we use alternative ground cover for the landfill. Some of that we'll use for alternative ground cover, and some of it is going to go into the landfill as well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's an unfortunate co-location with Eastgate, and I'm very mindful of it. And let me see what I can do.
That's it. Thank you.
So I just want to notify everyone here as part of my fellow commission members, as well as the professional staff and the general public, that last week I notified the Board of Supervisors that I did not intend to renew my contract on June 1st when it expires. So I'm going to leave my current position as the city manager in Carson City, but Mayor Bob Kroll came and met with me earlier in the week. He asked me, I'm not going to leave the area, he asked me to remain a member of the committee, and I agreed. So I do intend to remain a member of the committee, and I hope that's a good thing, but I do intend to remain on the commission. I think both from the commission, the changes that we all have made, I think the addition of the general manager and the fine work that people that preceded her have done, I think we're in good shape moving forward. I look forward to the ability, or not the ability, I look forward to the opportunity to continue to make a positive impact, not only on the commission, but also in the community here. So I'm going to stick around.
Cool. Awesome. With that, no other comments. We are adjourned. I guess we got little whistles here. I don't have a gavel, so there we go. We're adjourned. I don't know. It don't work so good. But we're adjourned.